Let's talk about CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans. When I look at this Houston Texans roster, they have everything that it takes to win the Super Bowl for this upcoming season. And this is not an overreaction take. We saw what they were able to do last season. Right now, I do believe that the Houston Texans are a top contending team in the AFC, and they can compete with teams like the Baltimore Ravens and the Kansas City Chiefs. The biggest move was obviously bringing in Stefon Diggs. We go back to last season. Not only did they lose to the Baltimore Ravens in the regular season, first game of last year's regular season for the Houston Texans, they will also lose to them in the NFL playoffs as well. And why? Part of it was because the offensive line protection was no good. They were dealing with injuries throughout the entire season, and they were not fully healthy. And when they were fully healthy, they still did not look right. And I do believe that they have good talent on this offensive line with Laramie Tunsil and Titus Howard, two very good tackles. But the wide receivers were a problem. Tank Dell got injured against the Denver Broncos, and he would miss the rest of the season, dealing with a leg injury. Your number one wide receiver was Nico Collins, but Tank Dell was a very good wide receiving target to go out there and help out CJ in many ways. And when he did not have him on the field, it really hurt the production of the Houston Texans. Now, CJ did not miss a beat against some teams, but against teams like the Baltimore Ravens, it showed up, especially in the NFL playoffs. They need Tank Dell to stay healthy. Tank Dell is going to be a key wide receiver. And I know a lot of people may say, why are you talking about Tank Dell when they have Nico Collins and Stefon Diggs? This is who he has his best rapport with. They both came into the same rookie draft class. Those guys have a great connection, and we have seen it in this preseason so far. Tank Dell can take the top off the defense, and he can help get guys open underneath, like Stefon Diggs and also Nico Collins. Nico Collins has transformed himself into being a true number one target. But now he's going to be the de facto number two because you're bringing in Stefon Diggs. So when you go against teams like the Baltimore Ravens, they just can't run press man coverage and just say, hey, beat our cornerbacks. Now you have guys that can do that. Stefon Diggs is still an elite wide receiver. Tank Dell can beat you with his speed. And if Tank Dell does go out, you now have John Mechie, who has showed up in this preseason as well. John Mechie has dealt with some things off the field in the past, and it's a great story when you look at it. I think that you keep him around. A lot of people in the NFL circles saying, hey, you can go out there and trade him to get some more offensive line depth. No, right now he's a better wide receiver than Robert Woods, and he's a better wide receiver than Noah Brown as well. They turned one of their weaknesses from last season, a young, inexperienced wide receiving core, into guys that can develop on the fly, and to having veteranship with Stefon Diggs. You can say what you want to say about Stefon Diggs. He's a diva at times, sure. But at the end of the day, when his head is on straight, he is one of the better wide receivers in the NFL to have. And to pair him up with CJ and Nico Collins, that's a great thing to do. And you can extend him beyond this year because essentially it is a one-year deal. CJ is still on his rookie deal. You're not paying him anytime soon. So when I look at these wide receivers, they also have a running back on this team as well in Joe Mixon. You had Devin Singletary last season. Devin Singletary was not a bad running back. He was very good. He went over to the New York Giants. You bring in Joe Mixon. Now, Joe Mixon is a very weird running back to have. He's not the most explosive running back, but he's more versatile than Devin Singletary. He can catch the football at the backfield. He can block better, and he's an every down back. I don't expect for him to go out there and to get over a lot of carries in a game. And I'm talking about 20, 25 carries in a game because you have Dameon Pierce. Dameon Pierce has not been the same running back that he once was his rookie season. But Dameon Pierce is still a very good power back. When you need 2 to 3 yards, he can get that for you. He just doesn't fit this zone rushing system. He doesn't have the most speed. He's not going to go out there and get a 50 to 60 yard rushing touchdown in a blink of an eye. He's not known for that. He's known for his power and getting touchdowns in the goal line situations. And he really got phased out last season by Devin Singletary. But you have Joe Mixon, who is going to be the star running back. You have Dameon Pierce, who is going to be the backup. I think that's a very good situation. And Dameon Pierce, he has to wake up. Right now, he's only averaging 1 yard a carry in the preseason. But once again, it is a preseason. I won't make much of that until the regular season comes around. When you look at the offensive line from tackle to tackle, I still have question marks. Laramie Tunsil, can he stay healthy enough? Can he be on the field long enough for the Houston Texans? And the same with Titus Howard as well. They need these guys to stay healthy at the tackle position to buy CJ a lot of time. When you give CJ Stroud a lot of time in the pocket, we saw it in his rookie season. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. And you could say, hey, he's just a one-year wonder. Not with the way that he went out there and played. Because we go back a year ago, the wide receivers were not viewed in this light before CJ came over. Minus Tank Dell because he was not here yet. They viewed the wide receivers as a weakness. And Nico Collins was giving you very good production. But it was not on this level. CJ helped him become a number one wide receiver. Give Nico a lot of credit for working on his game, but CJ was able to do that. That is called elevating the pieces around you. And the same with Dalton Schultz as well at the tight end spot. But they have to buy him enough time in the pocket. And it starts with the guards as well. Kenyon Green is still a very young player at that guard position, but he's dealt with injuries in the past as well. He needs to stay healthy. And I like Kenyon Green's skill set. He is still raw as a pass protector, but as a running guard, he's very good. I like the center play as well with the Houston Texans, with Juice. And Shaq Mason is a very good guard as well. He is getting older. But if the offensive line can hold up against teams like the Baltimore Ravens, who had the best defense in the NFL last season, and they can go out there and hold up against teams like the Kansas City Chiefs, you're going to be an amazing situation because CJ can clearly read NFL defenses and he can move inside and outside the pocket. It's not like he's a scarecrow inside the pocket. He is a great quarterback that deals with pressure. But in terms of bringing him down, that is when things get ugly. You just want to get him a lot of protection up front so he can clearly read the NFL defenses, and then you can have those guys go out there and get open in a blink of an eye. So it opens up a brand new type of offense for CJ. Play action should be more consistent, and guys should be able to go out there and get open even more with you bringing in Stefon Diggs. And it's always the conversation, how will Stefon Diggs act when he doesn't get over 5 to 6 catches in a game? I think he'll act fine as long as the team is winning. A lot of people give Stefon Diggs a bad rep. Stefon Diggs is not this wide receiver that's going to go out there every single week and just say, you know what, I'm sick of it. I'm going to cause problems. It's when he's open and the quarterback doesn't see him. That's when problems start to ensue. He had a great rapport with Josh Allen all the way through. Just the back half of that season when Joe Brady started to call plays, they phased him out. And that's hard for any wide receiver to swallow that pill. Come over to Houston Texans. They should not force him the football because you have good wide receivers around him. But if you need a big play, Stefon Diggs will be there for you. And if he does become a head case with the Houston Texans, it's a one-year deal. You can move off him. But I believe Stefon Diggs gets a bad rep. I've seen other wide receivers in the NFL act the same way that he does, and no one really talks about it. I think Stefon Diggs will fit this team like a glove, and they will be fine on the offensive end. Far as their defense, they did give up some big plays last season on the back end. Derek Stingley Jr. did miss time dealing with a hamstring injury, but when he came back, he was a lockdown corner. This is one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL. Forget just the AFC. This kid is special, and he's a slept-on cornerback. He is a true number one cornerback in the NFL. He can go against some of the best wide receivers in today's game, and he can phase them out for majority of the game. That is how special he is in man-to-man coverage, and you love to see that because he's a former first-round pick. He is a great cornerback. I know a lot of people talk about Sauce Gardner and Patrick Surtain, the second being some of the top corners in the NFL. Put this kid in that conversation. He is great in his own right. But they were struggling to find a number 2 option alongside him. You now have that with Kamari, who you drafted as well in this year's draft class. So far in practice and training camp, he has looked phenomenal. He is going to eat on the opposite side of Derek Stingley Jr. Now, quarterbacks are going to test him a lot because we started to see this in the back half of the season and in the NFL playoffs. They stopped testing Derek Stingley Jr. And Daniel Jones figured out the hard way in the preseason as well. When you test him, it's a good chance it may be an interception or a pass deflection. By testing Kamari, you're going to give him more reps immediately. And I do think that he has the ability to go out there and he can stick with some wide receivers as well. So you have 2 very good cornerbacks. The safety position, I like it a lot. The thing is this with Jalen Petrie. Rookie season was a very good safety. Last season and his first season with DeMeco Ryans, he wasn't the same safety. He even got benched. But we've seen him in the preseason. He has looked better. You have Kalen Bullock as well. Look out for him. A very good safety and a versatile safety coming over from USC. He played free safety and strong safety. If Jalen Petrie can't go out there and handle his own, you could put Kalen there, and I think that he'll fit great alongside Jimmy Ward. The thing is this, though. Jalen Petrie is still a very good safety. He just had a lot of slip-ups last year. And the thing is this, he's still a young player. He's still developing. Give him time. If he struggles early on, then you can put in Kalen. I also look at this as well. when it's time to go out there and pay Jalen Petrie, they may not do that. They just may roll in Kalen to develop, because at the end of the day, this team and their head coach is DeMeco Ryans. What is he known for? Defense and defensive pressure. And he knows how to develop guys on the defensive end. Look at what he did with the San Francisco 49ers. And speaking of defensive pressure, this defensive line is crazy. Now, DeMeco Autry is going to miss some time this upcoming season. He's going to be suspended because of a PED issue. That sucks. He's a very good defensive lineman that can play defensive end. He can play defensive tackle. Hopefully he can stay healthy and he can just stay safe, and he can just keep himself on the field when the playoffs roll around, if the Houston Texans can make the NFL playoffs, because they're going to need him. That is when you start to face teams like the Kansas City Chiefs and the Baltimore Ravens and maybe even the Los Angeles Chargers. You want to go out there and stop the run and force those quarterbacks to test your secondary. But you also have Danielle Hunter, who is coming over from the Minnesota Vikings, a very good defensive end. You package him up with Will Anderson. You can make these moves because your quarterback was so great his rookie season. And this defense is going to take a lot of pressure off of CJ as well. The Houston Texans got into some shootouts last season. They got into a particular shootout with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You're not going to see much of that for this upcoming season. And you know that pissed DeMeco Ryans off, because he is known to go out there and to have teams and units that play very good defense and can get pressure on the quarterback. You now have that with Will Anderson, and you have that with Danielle Hunter as well. Will Anderson did not have the most sacks for a rookie. That's fine. But he did have a lot of pressures. He can contain quarterbacks like Lamar Jackson. He can make those guys life hell. But they had to screen the defensive line to make everything else work with the Houston Texans. Their linebackers are a question mark for me personally. Christian Harris, I like his game a lot. Henry To'oTo'o, can he develop in his second year? He had a rough rookie season. He did have a lot of high points, a lot of low points as well. At the same time, he is a rookie. I will give him a lot of grace, but I hope that he can develop, because there's something there with this kid. But Christian Harris, I believe that he's going to be a star linebacker for this upcoming season, for sure. You have Azeez as well, who you are bringing over from the Tennessee Titans. Not only did you take DeMeco Autry, you also took him as well. A very good linebacker that can put a lot of pressure on the quarterback as well and can cover guys in space. You have talent on the defensive side, and you have a lot of depth as well behind these guys. The only thing that I would say that bothers me the most would be the consistency with the offensive line and Bobby Slowick's running plays. That's it. Besides that, the Houston Texans are an elite team in the AFC, and they deserve this. This fan base went through hell even before Deshaun Watson got traded. We go back a couple of years ago when Bill O'Brien was trading guys like DeAndre Hopkins and J.J. Watt was out of there. It was a rough time period for the Houston Texans. And at that time, Deshaun Watson, before he wanted to leave his last season, he was special, but they weren't winning football games. He was just a stat patter at that time. Now you have a quarterback in CJ with a more complete team around him, because let's be honest, those last days with Deshaun Watson, the team wasn't that great because of Bill O'Brien. Now you have a more complete team around this kid. You're taking care of him with the offensive line talent. You have the right coaching staff for the first time in a very long time. The hype is deserved for the Houston Texans, and I hope that they actually do go out there and contend for a Super Bowl for this upcoming season, because they deserve it. I will say this as well. The division is tough. The Houston Texans got into a weird situation last season. It was a win in your end game against the Indianapolis Colts. They did win the game, but the Indianapolis Colts were right there sticking with them. We'll see if Anthony Richardson can develop. You have the Tennessee Titans in the background as well. Don't sleep on them. We'll see if Will Levis can be their quarterback. But you also have another proven quarterback in this division. Now, Will Levis and Anthony Richardson, they're question marks. They're unproven right now, but I love their upside. I'm not going to lie to you. The other proven quarterback is scary. It's Trevor Lawrence. They were 8-3 before they were dealing with all those injuries. We have to take note of that as well. That's their biggest level of competition in this division. And I do believe that 2 to 3 teams will make it out of this division into the NFL playoffs. If the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to be there, the Houston Texans are going to be there with them. And vice versa. The Houston Texans make the NFL playoffs, it's a good chance the Jacksonville Jaguars will be right behind them. The AFC is loaded with quarterback talent, yes, but it's not too many teams that have complete teams around them. When you look at the Chargers, they have a very good quarterback in Justin Herbert. They're trying to rebuild their offensive line. Look at that wide receiving position. That could be a weakness for them, and their defense could give us some big plays here and there as well. When I look at the Texans and the Jaguars, they don't have too many weaknesses on their teams. The Texans may have more star power and they may have more known players around the NFL, but the Jaguars deserve some respect. But I do believe this, the Houston Texans are going to be there, and it's not going to be easy for the Kansas City Chiefs for this upcoming season. But let me know in the comment section below, how do you guys feel about CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans, and are they legitimate contenders in the AFC? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, I want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for watching the video, guys. God bless. Peace.